Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the business edition, followed by a little bit of Sillyville near the end. And I'm not sure why I'm still on my subscribe star page, but I do have a subscribe star page / switch to Linux. Anyway, wow. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch more bloopers than that if you catch the show. But anyway, first we're going to go ahead and start in with an update. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the 90-year-old who took out a full-page newspaper ad of the New York Times and the Dallas, whatever the big newspaper is in Dallas, complaining that here in America, for paying as much as he's paying for internet, he should certainly do better than a simple, small, crappy, almost broken DSL. And AT&T rushes to install fiber after the 90-year-old whined and complained. This is why, if you think I'm whining and complaining too much, this is why I whine and complain. Stuff gets done. Guys, I brought up the security concerns with Zorin, me and among other people. Zorin changed their data collection policies. Few other systems like that. We need to bring light to these. And that's what this guy did. And hey, now he's got fiber. He paid $10,000 for quarter-page ads in Wall Street Journal and got the internet service that he wanted. So there we have it, guys. We covered that article a few weeks ago. We're not going to cover it again here, but it worked. It worked. He ended up getting fiber installed in North Hollywood. Hollywood did not have fiber, people. Hollywood. House Republicans propose a nationwide ban on municipal broadband networks. Now, I looked at this article first. I said, ours is a left-wing leaning rag. It's like garbage. And so I'm like, there's got to be more than this. These guys are so left-wing, they're not even seeing the positive. So I actually went and got a whole copy of the bill. Ours is completely right. The Republicans have lost their ever-loving mind. See, there's a lot of red tape if you want to move into an area, into an ISP. There is so much red tape. Google abandoned trying to get their Google Fiber in several cities because there's so much red tape. Because the big corporate ISPs, the Time Warner, the Comcast, these guys hold such a monopoly in their areas that it is unmistakable. So the House Republicans they propose a bill that is basically, I looked at this and said, I bet that what they're doing is they're making it easier for competition because they want competition. They don't want the government to create ISPs because that'll stifle competition. Nope. They've lost their ever-living mind. They've gone full retard mode. They're basically just saying a government cannot create an ISP. They're not clearing any of the red tape. So if you want to start a competing ISP as a company, good luck. You're in competition with Comcast, Time Warner Cable, and millions of dollars of setting up infrastructure before you can do anything. This bill is horribly detrimental to the state of the internet in America, and the state of the internet in America is already horrible. We're like the worst in the internet. Why? Because we're not utilizing the monopoly laws that we have. We have a monopoly. I have exactly one option for internet where I am, which is why I pay over $100 a month for internet that's only 100 up in it's like 10 up in like 100 down. It might be 200 down. I don't know. I don't need 200 down. Like 50 down is perfectly fine. Just give me enough up so I can live stream. Our internet is abysmal. We have a monopoly, and I'm in the 4th largest city in my state. That is how bad the internet is here in America. And this law is going to make it worse. Republicans, go back to the business with. Of course, they have to call it the Connect Act. Communities over-regulating networks need economic competition today. Okay, morons, let me tell you how to do this, you stupid Republicans in office. Let me tell you how you do it. You pass some laws allowing real competition. You allow for other small ISPs to come in and compete with Comcast. You tell them you can't have a giant monopoly. You get over the boundary that costs millions of dollars to add internet to 500 houses in a small town. That's how you do it. The reason the governments and the cities are wanting the governments to create ISPs is because you've created too much red tape. Cut through the red tape. I know, you're red. It's red tape. You don't like cutting red. You got to cut the red. That's what you got to do. So I was totally disappointed seeing that bill. One thing, governments can't do that. Boy. Well, Nissan apparently was in deals to work with Apple on a smart car, but they walked away because they, quote, I don't want to be the Foxconn of cars. In other words, we do not want them to start telling us what to do. And Apple is getting scary, guys. This is a neat one. It didn't make the news. It was actually just released just a few hours ago, so I didn't include it in the news here, but it's relevant to right here. This is how abusive Apple is. In Apple's fight with Epic, they want to know how many game sales there are. So what did they do? They just went and subpoenaed Steam's sales data. Steam's sitting here going, what the hell do we have to do with any of this crap? They're literally trying to get Steam sales data so they can know about how many video games do people buy in the whole wide world, apparently. Because Apple's gotten so big, they can go into a big car manufacturer like Nissan and say, no, you're going to change this. It's the same thing Walmart does. No, we're only going to pay you half the amount that you want for your product. But if you don't take it, we're just going to take your product and manufacture our own with cheap Chinese labor. You know, we'll send the Islams and the children to work camps in China and manufacture it for about 5 pennies in a loaf of bread for the day. And then we'll ship that back across the seas, and we're going to undercut you and put that in every store. So, yeah, you're going to accept our half or not? Yeah, that's what Apple is doing. That's what Walmart's doing. So these are the types of things. And that's why that car deal happened to go a little bit south. And there is a thriving fake review industry gaming the Amazon marketplace. Of course, most of us were kind of aware of this, but yeah, this is the type of stuff we're seeing. So this company, what these guys did is they created their own, this one group created their own fake Amazon store just to get all the solicitations from all the people doing fake reviews. So with that, they found, let's see, December 2020, we signed up to 10 sites offering review manipulation services, including free or discounted products in exchange for reviews or sales campaigns for sellers to boost their positive reviews. We found 702,000 product reviewers across just 5 businesses. One site claimed to have processed $8.9 million of refunds for reviews. It has organized on Amazon. Not sure what they're doing. They've processed many refunds? I don't quite get what that is. Review campaigns claiming to be able to achieve Amazon's choice status on products in just 10 to 14 days. One site selling contact and social media details for Amazon reviewers. Also quizzed review businesses on tactics they employ and to stay above their checks. So they're all kind of working on this, so you can sign up for your good deal. 50 reviews for 700 euros, 100 reviews for 1,200, so you can go all the way on up to 1,000 reviews. Or do you want to be flexible? One review just costs £15 per review, baby. Oh yeah, there you have it. So here's how to secure it. So yeah, when you go in, like, this is really bad because product reviews are a useful thing to figure out what's what. Now, if you're a savvy buyer, you can read a product review and get an idea of what's going on with it. That's for sure. But sometimes it's hard to guess. And just because it's Amazon's choice doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. And I've encountered some things like that, although I've had pretty good luck on things on Amazon. But nevertheless, we can kind of see, here's some fake review tactics to avoid detection. Choose a product, buy on Amazon, then write a review. We'll send a full price rebate to your PayPal after writing a review. So these are kind of what they're doing. And prohibited to return a product after receiving the rebate. Only review with sign verified purchase is acceptable. Yeah, even that though, there's ways around that. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on there. The future of Windows 10 updates. We have a couple Windows 10 updates before our final article here. So the future of Windows 10 updates will reportedly add a floating start menu in rounded corners. So basically they want to turn Windows into a Mac based on this picture. Mac-esque type thing. I think that's a horrible idea. Keep it the way it is. the reason Windows itself is good is because it's very useful. Like this to me is more useful than this. Maybe you're different. I get it. Although I don't see this being useful at all. I see this being annoying. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that useful or annoying? Are you looking for the round corners and the floating start menus? Oh, here's the floating. Okay, I guess you can put the start menu on the left, on the center, presumably on the right as well. So hey, you can probably make it pop up out of the upper left of the screen if you want it to run like Ubuntu. There you go. So that might actually be the best way to run it, throwing it up there, honestly. So there we have it, guys. Let me know if you're into that. Of course, we have a Microsoft Office 2021 is on the way, and finally they get a dark mode. LibreOffice, FYI, has had this for a long time. But finally, they do have a dark mode, and they are still keeping with the ability to purchase your one-off license without the subscription model. They also are now getting an LTS type model, which costs 10% more. And the LTS model is going to have a few other little odds and ends in there as well. And so those are a couple of things to keep in mind there. So overall, though, not a whole lot there. The purpose of the LTS is, again, targeting businesses that don't want to use the cloud services but need to keep more stable for a longer period of time. So there we have it. But you can still purchase your standalone Microsoft Office if you want to. I'm not sure why you'd want to, but I guess you should. Anyway, no, you should. You could. I meant to say. Ugh. I don't even know how to use Word anymore. Is that scary? People are like, how do you do this? I don't know. Don't ask. I don't know. And on to our final news. We have this came from down under, abc.net.au. So Facebook decided to go ahead and drop a nuke on Australian news. It kind of backfired, though. It's like you're playing Civilization, right? You got a nuke going. You're going to send a nuke on over and nuke Moscow, baby. And they have SDI, and your nuke failed. Yeah, that's kind of what happened here. So as part of this spat between the government telling Facebook you need to pay for this, Facebook's just like, fine, guess what we can do? We're just going to shut off news and y'all won't get any news. And so they basically blocked all news from being able to be shared across anything connected to an Australian Facebook account. So you can't share news with your buddies in Facebook. And then you can't even share news outside your country or into the country if one of you is in or connected to Australia. So anything in Australia, Facebook's like, watch how long before they coming back. What they didn't plan on is, as of today, the ABC app for the smartphones went to the top of the app stores. And so apparently everyone's like, hey, being on Facebook is bad for my mental health. They just went ahead and downloaded the app directly, and they're getting there like, breath of fresh air. I can actually get some news without any of the nonsense surrounding Facebook. Maybe this is a good thing, and people will abandon social media and start moving back to original sources. So really, they wanted to show that if we just cut you off, you're going to be crying back to us because nobody's viewing your content. No, it turned out that people maybe were on Facebook to get the content. You kicked them off the content, so now they can actually get the content directly from the app. Not well thought out, but anyway, that's how it happened. So it's kind of a, y'all tried, y'all failed. All right. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, I do have a science fiction novel if you are into that. This is my book, Synaptergy. And in Synaptergy here, you can go ahead and grab a copy of this guy. It's synaptergy.com or tlm.li/s. And you can come on over here, read the first chapter. For those of you guys looking for when's part 2 coming out, sorry guys, I haven't started it yet. Mostly it's the book I'm working on right now. We're doing a lot of editorial things and stuff like that. But you can head on over here. You can, if you go ahead and allow SoundCloud to load, you can listen to the first 5 minutes of the book. You can read chapter 1, and the where to buy has a variety of different places where you can pick the book up from. So have a look over that at synaptergy.com. Let's head on over to Sillyville next. First up in Sillyville is this overt fascination with celebrities. Apparently, Whoopi Goldberg is one of 25 famous New Yorkers that are now reading PSAs for the MTA. Maybe they should just have the Kingston Trio update the MTA song about wearing masks. I don't know. So apparently they're bringing in all of these famous New Yorkers to read public service announcements to tell everybody to wear masks. Why? Because there's nothing like a little bit of propaganda to get people to change their minds about something that the science can't possibly do. If you haven't noticed, by the way, there is no science. There's exactly one random control study indicating the usefulness and effectiveness of masks that showed an N difference of 8 in a population study of 2,500 per study group. That was out of Holland. There was the other mask study before the COVID era that the control group had fewer infections than the mask group. Now, mind you, the control group, the error in that study is the control group. They didn't have a requirement as to wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. Some of them did, some of them did not. The people who had the most infections were the groups in the cloth masks, because you're touching it. You're concentrating stuff in front of your face and then on your hands, and then you're sharing that concentrated germs on all the door handles you're all touching before you put somebody else's germs on your mask on your face. This is why the epidemiological data that we have suggests that every time a mask mandate is put into place, infections go up and not down. Just a thought. So we have to do a little bit of propaganda and get Whoopi Goldberg over here, among others, to start doing PSAs about the MTA. I gotta say, guys, just resurrect the Kingston Trio and have them sing a new version of the MTA that talks about wearing masks or something, because why not? Panasonic made a farting cat robot. Now, I was extraordinarily disappointed because I watched every video connected to this thing, and one time did they show me a video where this stupid thing farts. But nevertheless, we'll go ahead and watch the video anyway.
おはよう。おはよう。おー、偉いね。はじめまして。はい。
Yeah. So it basically, it rocks, it blinks its creepy eyes, and if you get it right, it'll turn around and show you its butt, because, hey, what cat doesn't like showing you its butt from time to time? So there you have it, guys. It cost $360, and they sold out in 6 minutes, and they won't be doing any more. So there you are. You missed your chance of getting the farting cat sock robot thing. Why? Why, God, why? I don't know. And finally, CitiBank has a stupid tax of $500 million. It wasn't just a bad UI. It was a bad UI combined with some Indian contractor. So what happened here is CitiBank was trying to make an interest payment of $7.8 million. So basically it had millions of dollars in loans from another group. I mean, just think of that. CitiBank needs to borrow millions of dollars. So they meant to make an interest payment, but the UI on the system wasn't clear to the Indian contractor, and he accidentally paid off the loan instead. Whoops. And so the courts actually ruled that despite there being laws in place, including in this city, that said that if you accidentally make an ATF or ETF, what is it, ETF, I think, payment to somebody, if it's made in error, you can rescind that payment. That's in the law. But there is a little exception to the law. And the little exception to the law says that if you don't know the payment is in error, if you received it and you don't know the payment is in error because it's obvious that you should have been making the payment, then they can't get it back. So this is like, this is one of the things that your slimy little debt collectors will do. They'll convince you that, okay, give us electronic access to your bank account and we'll just pull out $300 on the $3,000. And then they pull out $3,000 and then you have no recourse to sue them, even though they took out the wrong amount. So the reason the reason they had to pay this back is because of the law that says if you didn't know it was an error, and since the amount that was paid off was the exact amount that the balance was due, the company looked at this and said, oh, they must have just paid it all back early to avoid paying interest in the future. And the judge looked at this and said, it actually makes sense. Even though they came back the next day and said, hey, this was done in error, they said, yeah, we're not going to give you the money back because it looks as though you were trying to pay it off. And so there was that loophole in the law. And so the judge describes it this way. On FlexCube, the easiest or perhaps only way to execute the transaction, to pay the lenders their share of the principal and interim interest owed as of August 11, 2020, and then to constitute the 2016 term loan with the remaining lenders was to enter the system as if paying off the loan in its entirety, thereby triggering the accrued interest payment to all lenders, but to direct the principal portion of the payment to a wash account with an internal CitiBank account to help ensure that the money does not leave the bank. This is what they had to deal with. And I stared at this for a while going, I have no earthly idea what I'm looking at, but presumably you might get trained. But it was an Indian subcontractor under Citibank. Here's a thought for big multi-billion-dollar global national companies. Don't hire an Indian subcontractor to handle contracts of millions and millions of dollars. Duh. So the creditors were delighted. The principal wasn't going to wash. Then when the subcontractor conducted a routine review the next morning, he noticed that there was something drastically off about the previous day's figures. Citibank had actually sent out almost $900 million, not the $7.8 million it was trying to send. They scrambled to get the funds back, notifying each creditor that the principal payments had been made by mistake. Some of the creditors sent the money back, others refused, leaving Citibank out $500 million. Ordinarily, paying back a loan early wouldn't be a big deal since the parties could simply negotiate a new line on similar terms. But in this case, some of the lenders were not on good terms with Revlon and Citibank. Earlier in the year, the pandemic was accelerating. Revlon experienced financial difficulties and sought to borrow more money. To do that, Revlon convinced a majority of its previous creditors to allow transfer of collateral from its old to the new loan. Basically, a bunch of stuff. Here's why it ruled against it. So they argued that they were entitled to get the money back since the cash was sent out by mistake. Ordinarily, the law would be on their side here. Under New York law, someone who sends out money in an erroneous wire transfer, for example, sending a payment to the wrong account, is entitled to get the money back. But the law makes an exception when a debtor accidentally wires money to a creditor. In that case, if the creditor doesn't have prior knowledge that the payment was a mistake, it's free to treat the repayment as a repayment of the loan. Judge Furman ruled that the principle applies here, even though Citibank notified its creditors, of the mistake the very next day. The defendants noticed the amount they received matched the amount Revlon owed down to the penny, making it reasonable for them to assume it was an early repayment of the loan. So there we have it, guys. UI can cost you millions and millions of dollars. Just be aware of that. Although I would wager paying off a loan is probably the better bet anyway. Just a thought. But anyway, Citibank did have to pay a $500 million stupid tax because of hiring an Indian contractor on a bad UI. Let that be a lesson to you. Well, if you want to help support the channel, I do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. This actually supports all three of my channels, the Christian channel, the writing channel, and the Linux channel. You can head on over there and join in and help support the channel over there. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.